We often picture destiny as a fixed point waiting for us at the end of a long road, a predetermined outcome we are bound to reach regardless of our actions. Within the esoteric astrological system, destiny functions as a living geometry. It maps out a psychological architecture of choices, presenting paths of resistance and flow rather than a deterministic prison. To read this map, we look to the lunar nodes. These are not physical bodies or planets with mass. They are invisible, mathematical points suspended in space. These nodes exist at the precise coordinates where the moon's orbit crosses the ecliptic, the path the Earth travels around the sun. Ancient sky watchers tracked these mathematical intersections because they mark the exact locations where the sun, moon, and Earth align to produce a solar eclipse. This historical star map shows the Draco constellation winding between the poles. Because eclipses appeared to devour the light at these specific points, the ancients named the ascending node the dragon's head and the descending node the dragon's tail. If the birth chart maps our psyche, these dragon points represent a central axis of development. They force us to negotiate the balance between the gravity of our past and the unwritten potential of our future. The south node represents our historical comfort zone, the behavioral patterns we have already mastered. In astrological language, this node holds our innate talents, but also our instinctual defaults. It is the path of least resistance we automatically retreat to under stress. The north node pulls in the opposite direction. It marks the specific evolutionary path we are least equipped to handle at birth. This point represents entirely unfamiliar territory. It identifies specific traits and behaviors that we must consciously choose to develop over time. Growth toward the north node is difficult because it requires us to act against our natural karmic gravity. Every step forward feels like a deliberate break from our most reliable habits. This diagram shows 12 archetypal figures arrayed around the sun. The nodal axis dictates which of these archetypal states an individual is moving away from and which specific behavioral lessons they must adopt to find balance. The journey from the dragon's tail to the head is the primary mechanism of personal change. We cannot evolve without the friction that comes from abandoning our safest, most repetitive patterns. This tension is built into the geometry of the zodiac wheel. The nodes are always positioned exactly 180 degrees apart. We cannot ignore our past mastery, nor successfully hide within it. The 2 points remain in a constant state of energetic exchange. The challenge is to integrate the two. A person must use the established talents of the south node as the foundation to fuel their movement toward the north node. When we shift the perspective from the individual to the collective, we see this same geometry governing the narrative of entire eras. This diagram of planetary orbits illustrates the timing of these shifts. The nodal axis moves backward through the signs, completing one full rotation every 18.6 years. As the nodes enter a new pair of signs, the global conversation changes focus. Every 18 months, the collective attention is pushed toward a new set of archetypal tensions, shifting from themes of individual security to themes of social cooperation. This 18.6-year rhythm ensures that every 2 decades, society returns to the same core questions, providing a recurring opportunity to resolve collective habits on a global scale. Despite this structural precision, the nodes are not a deterministic tool for predicting a fixed future. The nodal axis merely outlines the curriculum. Knowing your north node identifies the direction of growth, but the actual work remains a matter of individual agency. This geometry becomes highly practical in synastry, the study of how 2 people's charts interact and influence one another's growth. When one person's planets align with another person's nodal axis, the interaction creates an immediate sense of purpose. The planet person personifies the qualities the node person is either trying to move toward or leave behind. These connections act as evolutionary catalysts. By embodying the very traits the other person needs to develop, individuals create the specific psychological friction required to pull each other out of their comfort zones. Destiny is ultimately a choice architecture. It provides us with specific, geometrically defined paths of resistance that help us measure our own progress. We all walk the tightrope of the dragon's spine. suspended in the geometric tension between who we have been and who we are choosing to become.